Hey, today I am watching Cami Calasich from Bolivia performing a monologue.
Hey, thinking about you. Missed you. I really have. I feel stupid standing here, talking. But I'm just sorry for what you went through. Too much. Actually, I can because no way I won't hold that with me. Even though I didn't know. Laughed when you laughed.
The first thing I have to say is the audio is really not great. It's quite hard to hear and hard to understand, and it immediately puts Cami at a disadvantage. I can see that she's a good actor. That comes across almost instantly. Good, raw, believable emotion. But it's hard to understand what she's saying because of the audio. And so if I were a director or a casting director, even though I'm evaluating the acting, it makes it hard to do that when it's a struggle to hear what she's saying properly and connect the words to the emotion. It sounds like it's a really low bit rate. It could be a compression issue. So sometimes this happens when you send a file to someone, it gets compressed depending on how it gets sent. So it could be that, or it could just be a capture issue, in which case a better microphone might be the answer.
Cried when you cried. I should have ever recognized it. I'm sorry for being selfish. I miss you. Sorry you had to go through all this alone. You didn't have to.
Emotion's really nice. I can see, again, she has quite good skills. But the next thing I'd criticize is the pacing is really slow. It's slow paced, and there are long pauses in between each sentence. The sentences are quite short as well. So it feels quite disjointed to me. It doesn't have a good flow to it. And frankly, I'm an impatient person, so I want to see this move more quickly. And even though it might be real world as a performance, it might match the script and the scenario that Cami's playing out. I still want to see something that's paced faster. You should be straddling that line between showing reality and doing it in a way that is enjoyable to watch and at a good fast pace that people can appreciate. If you think about TV shows and movies, you almost never see dialogue at a really slow pace like this. But let's keep watching and see what happens.
You knew this was going to happen. How could you keep it to yourself?
So even though this bit we just watched since the last pause is a similar pace, it's much more compelling because now the emotion's stronger. That shift that came in was really great, and we can see, even though Cami isn't moving very much or even saying very much, we can see the really powerful emotional journey that she's going through. But it's taken probably half of the monologue to get here. So either speeding it up at the beginning or choosing a different emotional journey early on so that we don't have to wait a full minute to see this shift come in would work really well.
I'm not going to cry anymore because you didn't deserve it. You didn't deserve it because you should be here in the first place. I am not sorry. Once.
It's a real roller coaster. She's going through so many different things, but the transitions are all really believable. We can see her go from sort of anger and resentment to sadness and hurt, and even some positive emotions coming through.
I hate you. Somehow I love you.
So that little bit of love was showing earlier. I hate you, but I love you. I really like that. It's interesting how we can have such opposed but concurrent emotions. And she's shown that really nicely, because we could see that just suggestions of the fact that there was something more than just hate. There was a lot more hesitancy in the hate than if it was just like someone who is a real arse who you really don't like.
I loved you. I really need to stop.
So I think Cami is a great actor. She's got a real emotional range that's coming out. Again, first of all, fixing up the audio is going to make a difference. I think it generally could use more pace. There are times where those emotional shifts are really interesting to watch, and it doesn't need the faster pace, but just generally speaking, it was a little bit draggy, it was a bit slow, it was a little bit hard to stay with as a viewer. I'm a pretty impatient person, so my mind tends to wander pretty easily, and there was a real risk of that with that performance. Another thing that I can see Cami has potential to do here is to really heighten that moment of anger. It was very brief, where she says, I hate you, before she says, I love you. And even though that shift comes in, I feel like the sort of positive emotion might have overwhelmed the anger really quickly. Why I'd recommend going with a stronger anger emotion is because it's going to show a little bit more range, but also for the physicality. So you can see it's quite a static performance. She's not moving around much. And personally, I prefer the emotional journey to someone who's moving around physically, particularly if it's just for the sake of being physical. But that was the one moment where I didn't feel like her movement matched her emotion so well when she was angry. Because when we get angry, we get very short and sharp and aggressive with our movements, and that didn't really come. So it would have been a nice opportunity to heighten that anger, to put more physicality in it, to show that greater range. And I think that could have led to a more dynamic and interesting performance overall. Cami is a great actor. She's got real depth of emotion and shows a really good range. I think the pace in particular is the number one thing for me. Increasing that is going to make it a more enjoyable performance to watch. And if any of those other suggestions I've come up with resonate with her, I'd be really keen to see what she can do with it. And I'm looking forward to seeing her in the regional finals of World Monologue Games. Check her out. There is a link in the description of this video. See you later.